Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. Um, we're on Windfall Island. Man, it's actually been a couple weeks since I've recorded a session. I've been ahead on these videos, so to you it should be pretty seamless. But it's been a while since I've played. So we're picking up from just getting the bombs, it looks like. Oh, I love this sequence, man. The Endless Night, just the quest design of the Wind Waker. Let's go ahead, free tingle. But yeah, like the quest design of the Wind Waker, I think is interesting because, like, obviously this is a game that like diverges from Ocarina of Time in a lot of ways, a lot of very meaningful ways. But the quest design is relatively similar. Like if you outline it on paper, right? The idea of the first three dungeons, midpoint shift, sage dungeons, Ganon's Tower, ending, right? Like the overall game quest structure is similar. Um, and there's things in common, right? In Ocarina of Time, there's the storm that takes over the land right before you go into the Temple of Time, right? When Ganondorf leaves Hyrule Castletown. Excuse me, I just love Tingle. I can't talk about something else when Tingle's on screen. Please, Mr. Fairy, rescue poor Tingle from this place. Why was he in there? Comment down below y'all's theories. Why Tingle? Why was Tingle in jail? What are the theories? I know that right there's like skulls like hidden in the in the tunnels. So it's like, was he a murderer? Right. So who knows? Hooray! Thank you so very much. Here is Tingle's most heartfelt gift of thanks. I don't know if we're gonna do anything with the Tingle Tuner in this playthrough. But I love that it exists, man. Like, cause I played with the Tingle Tuner a bunch as a kid, right? Even just like with myself, this is sad, but just connecting the, Game Boy Advance and trying to like, complete some of the quests, get the statues, etc. And I remember having fun with it. Like it was a worthwhile expansion pack to the game, and I thought it was cool that there was Game Boy support, right? In a game that like didn't have to do that. Wind Waker has enough other things going for it, and I think just as a kid, that was another thing that just kind of made Wind Waker like the ultimate game. There was so much that it did, um, and I think that's the thing, right? Is like, and I want to make sure I show that in this playthrough. Like I've just kind of been going through the main story here, but there's so much that this game has to offer. There's so many reasons that this game is still like a great game. And I think Zelda like still does that, right? Like I think the thing is just I've been thinking a lot about like newer Zelda games as I've been playing this. I played Tears of the Kingdom last year when it came out. And Tears of the Kingdom did so much, and I know a lot of Zelda fans that were kind of frustrated with it's like, it felt more like a sandbox game. It was offering so many things that they were maybe frustrated that they were like, well, why doesn't it just focus on having good dungeons and good items and a good story? Why does it have to do all these things? I'm like, well, Zelda has always been a very ambitious franchise. That's always been part of the games, right? Like, and I don't know. I just think about everything the Wind Waker does, and I don't know. Like, I do feel like, I mean, obviously, like I have critiques of Tears of the Kingdom, um, but I don't critique it for its ambitiousness. And I don't think that it's lost the heart of the franchise. I think there are things that have changed for sure, and there's meaningful things that have changed. Um, like the music of Zelda was always just so meaningful to me, and I do feel like that's been like I love the soundtrack of Tears of the Kingdom, but at the same time, like I do feel like it doesn't have quite the same soul. And I don't like saying that, but that is how I feel. Um, like I don't know, and I think that's less of a quality concern, and it is just more of a statement of like the way that the soundtrack is used. Like I think the quality of the Tears of the Kingdom soundtrack is great. I wonder what's in this chest. Who could it be? Da 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 da! The Picto Box. Let's go. I mean, this was just such a neat inclusion. It's like this was an item that they didn't have to do. That like, you know, um, but everything. There's so much I love about the Picto Box, right? And the quests that it opens up. Like I love Linzo's pictograph quest on Windfall Island. Like I think that's a great thing. The Nintendo Gallery, like the Nintendo Gallery is tedious. For those that don't know, like you have this quest that you can do in Wind Waker, where you can take photos of every NPC in the game and get a figurine made of them if you take those photos to a sculptor in the Forest Haven. But with those figurines comes like a little bit of a description, right? and it's a really neat way of just like learning more about, just things like the writers wanted to tell you about the game. Come on, man. Why didn't you let me like get in? Well done. Our preparations are complete. If what the girl says is true, the pirates won't be leaving until morning. You must meet with Jaboon and get the pearl from him before they arrive. Let us delay no longer, Joe. Well, bet. Let's go. Let's go southwest. What was I talking about? Ooh. Excuse me. Oh man, it's beautiful. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was talking earlier about like Zelda's relationship with his music. And I don't know. I feel like I've gone on this tirade before, but like I feel like Zelda just as a series, in so many ways, this was part of what grabbed me as a kid and like continued to grab me as I played the games as a teenager and then as an adult. Is that so many games are like music is such a big part of their meaning, if you know what I'm saying. Um, like Link is sometimes a musician, like he is in Ocarina of Time, he is in Wind Waker, he is in Spirit Tracks, he is in Skyward Sword. He has a harp in the Oracle games, um, and like those are things that like Link is a musician, and I've always like resonated with that. And like music is like the language of like the human soul to me. I don't know, not to sound like, you know, snobby or whatever, but like that's just like that's I don't know. Like I'm a composer, and I find such meaning in in composing, and so it's always just been cool to me that the Zelda series taps into that. Like, in Ocarina of Time, there's so much you can do with your ocarina. Like it's a game item, but you can also pretty much play any note, even if you don't have to play every note for the purposes of the story. I don't know if I'm gonna get this fishman. He's pretty close to the cyclone. I can try. We're risking it, boys. But let's play risky. I want to get this fishman so that I can chart this island. I don't know if I'm gonna be too close to the cyclone. I don't know. It's not looking good. I'm sorry, guys. No, we might be able to do it though. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. Where is he? We're so close. We're so close to the fishman. We're within the wind of the cyclone, though. I don't know if we're gonna make it. Okay. We did it. We got our bait out. All right. Chart this island for us, please, and let's get out of here. Excuse me. We're not playing it safe here, boys. Oi, small fry. Yeah, I take it you want to chart information about this island? Then start by opening up your seed chart. Okay, I can do that. Okay, man, I can do that. All right, what we got here? Bum ba dum ba dum bum. Just the Northern Triangle Isle. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. One of y'all left a comment. They were like, Joe, like you're not charting your islands every time you pass a new square, and I'm trying to be better about that. Oh yeah, that school on Windfall Island has one gorgeous teacher. Amen, brother. But the thing is, this gang of four little hoodlums is always causing trouble for her. Those little delinquents like to cause all sorts of trouble. They go climbing trees and hiding behind buildings instead of going to school. What a bunch of savages. They were real me talking about kids. Somebody's got to scold those scoundrels and set them straight for the sake of that poor teacher. You hear me, Fry? And that's all the info I've got off. I mean, I love that, right? Just the amount of personality in this interaction. I mean, I don't know. People can talk about, like, what is Zelda about? Is it about the adventure, right? Is it about because I think that there is a discussion of that where I want to be careful how I say this, but like sometimes I think when we talk about what we want from Zelda and Zelda games and the stories of Zelda games, like it can be easy just to remember the high fantasy, the epicness, but Zelda is so much more than that, and it's just about all these little interactions as well. Yeah. Mighty fine boat you got there, bub. You must be searching for treasure on the seafloor, too, aren't you? Ha ha ha, you won't get any from us, bub, not likely. Let me ask you something real quick. Who wanders around on a fishless sea? I'll tell you who, bub. Only pirates, monsters, and treasure hunters like ourselves. Maybe some other things that I've never heard of. I love these guys. With all the weak island dwellers who never leave their shores, I'm amazed to see such a tiny little guy out here. I don't like your style, bub. I feel like I've known you my whole life. So, hey, Bob, tell you what, as one treasure hunter to another, I'll give you this. You'll definitely be needing it if you want to haul up treasure. Come on, take it. I won't take no for an answer. I also won't take nay, nope, or nar. Just grab it. I love that. Let's go, treasure chart. Open your seed chart, then press Y. Why? Excuse me. Sail to that area and use the chart to find the treasure. Have y'all seen that clip of like from Scooby Doo of like Fred saying treasure like weird? I love Frank Welker, right? I love his voice. Shout out to Scooby Doo. Um, but he kept calling it like treasure. He kept saying it just like that. All right, well, little treasure buddy. Good luck to all of us. Happy hunting. Oh, thanks, guys. I don't know. It's just like it's stuff like that, man. That's um, like Link's quest. Like it's not just him out on the open ocean, right? He's not really just alone, right? And I love that that theme is there through so many Zelda stories, and especially Wind Waker. Like ultimately, Wind Waker story as you complete it is about not just rescuing people but inspiring them, right? Being a hero is about like inspiring them, and I think about Medley and Makar, and you help them find their purpose. um, and I just think that that's so cool. Like that's what Zelda is about to me, right? And I think sometimes it can be easy to like play one of the games and you watch the cutscenes and you get wrapped up in the lore and you think about the history of demise is maybe his curse, and you think about this like this deep high fantasy like duels, in Link versus Ganondorf, and this epicness in these battles and this war, right? These warriors, and Zelda is like that's a small portion of it. In fact, that's usually just the final boss, right? So much of the story, is about like the arguably more important things, right? Like as big and as climactic as those fights can be, as important as those fights can be, in the story of, you know, um, trying to stop Ganon. Like obviously that's an important threat story wise, but really so much of when I think of the story of the Wind Waker, Ganondorf is part of that, right? Um, but there's also all the stuff that happens above the ocean, right? And I think that that's kind of a statement on the way the story presents it. Like, I don't know, there's this big epic battle happening below the ocean. But kind of what's more important is what's happening above it, in my opinion, right? And maybe it doesn't feel that way, right? And it feels like you're fighting for the fate of the world sometimes, um, in this like one-on-one battle between you and Ganondorf. But like really, I don't know, I think Zelda at its best is like a story about like Link in a community. And I think that that happens in Wind Waker with Windfall Island, and it happens with Medley, and it happens with Makar, and it happens as you form these relationships with, new people and inspire them. But anyway, I take it you want chart and information about this island. I don't know. These are things I think about as a Zelda fan, right? Um, and I encourage y'all to think about them as well. Da 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 da. Okay. What else you got for me? You seen those weird? Yeah, I know about those rings of light, man. Oh, they're these special ones that shine like crazy. They say that those mark the spots where the greatest treasure are hidden. That's all the info I got. All right. Okay. Okay. That's a good tip. I'll take that tip. Okay. I am happy to take that tip. Let's go this way, perhaps. We're starting to map out our treasure chart just a little bit. This is going to be a long way to go, fellas, but thank you for joining me for the ride. I'm glad that more people have been watching these videos than I expected. I thought these would get less views than the podcast episodes. Um, and I don't know, like I encourage y'all that haven't seen the podcast episodes that I do to watch those episodes. I've been really happy with Podcast Unflooded. Check it out on the channel. We've had some great special guests recently, and so I really encourage y'all to go watch them. But I've been surprised that these videos have gotten so far. Some of them over 1,000 views, some of them a couple hundred. And I've been impressed with that. I've been expecting them to get like 50 views, right? Which is still like that's nothing to sneeze at. Come on, guys. Like I'm aware, like that's filling a room or two. Um, that's several households. I don't know. I feel aware of that, right? That like I'm a small enough channel that like even when I get like that like like if I get a single comment, like I read it. You know what I'm saying? Um, like unless it's a really busy day, and there are those days where like like a lot of comments will come in and I just can't read them all. But most of the time, like I read comments, and like I'm small enough where I feel like I can like keep track of all that. And I like that. I like that like we have a community space here, right? I don't really feel like a creator and an audience. I feel like we're a part of a community when we can talk about Zelda together. And I really enjoy that. That's something that I've really gotten out of this channel. And I've said that before, but I want to make sure I say it again, for anyone that maybe hasn't heard it yet, that just I'm very thankful. Um, Very thankful that all of y'all watch these videos and that y'all are interested in the Wind Waker Unflooded project. Um, and thank you just for engaging with the channel and leaving comments and making it a community space. That makes it worth it. So I appreciate that. Thank you everyone. Thank you everyone watching. I want y'all to know that. But let's see what this chart is for. Ooh, the Islet of Steel. Ooh. And thanks for watching me play this game that I love, right? I mean, like, this is a game that, like, I can play this on autoplay a lot of it, and so I want to make sure that I'm talking about interesting things as I'm playing it. But also, like, I want to play more Zelda games after that, after this, if y'all are interested in that. Um, Especially, like, now that there's, like, right now, as I'm recording this may change by the time the video releases, who knows? But like for technical reasons, like I haven't been uploading as many modeling time lapse videos as I usually do for the Wind Waker Unflooded project, um, because a contributor has been taking the time to reorganize a lot of the files, rename a lot of the textures, and I really appreciate him doing that. That's something I needed to do from the beginning, was to get organized with all of that. But to me, I was like, well, I know what like M28, means, right? Like I know what, when I see that material in Blender, I know what that means. I know what M13 means, and like I just have like a mental like list of all that stuff. Just like I know the textures. But that makes it hard for new contributors to come in and contribute. And I want to make sure that Wind Waker Unflooded is available for new people to work on. For those that don't know, I work on a 3D modeling project called Wind Waker Unflooded, where I'm 3D modeling the land of Hyrule as it could have existed within the world of the Wind Waker. We see a small portion of Hyrule around Hyrule Castle, but we never actually get to really explore Hyrule in the game. And so it's basically just about like extruding from all of these islands in the Great Sea and the overworld, and modeling what they would look like below the surface of the ocean, which has been really fun. It's been really rewarding. It's been really creative, and I don't know, like it's cool that like getting to play Wind Waker again, and like even with all of the modeling work that I've done, like the Wind Waker overworld doesn't feel barren or empty to me. I know there's people that do feel that way. I think that's part of what interests people in Wind Waker Unflooded, is the fact that they felt like the ocean of Wind Waker was missing something. To me, I never felt like it was missing something. I'm not doing this out of spite. I'm making Wind Waker Unflooded as a 3D modeling project, like just because I wanted to explore that world. I wasn't disappointed that it was left out. Like I did have that strong longing to see it, and I was disappointed that we couldn't explore it. But I never felt like it was missing from the game. Wind Waker always felt like a complete game to me, and its overworld was still very, like, it felt fully formed. And just like, yeah, even replaying it now, I mean, there's things that like I wish had been, more developed, but like it's not because I felt like they were missing. It's just because I want more, which is different. That question, I think about this all the time when I watch a movie and I feel like it left me wanting more. And I have to ask, is that because it's missing it, or just because I liked it and, I can't wait for the sequel? And sometimes it's hard to parse that out, right? I don't know, movie criticism, that's a whole different thing. I don't even necessarily want to get into that on this channel. I don't know, it's because that's something that, like, I'm a filmmaker myself. If y'all don't know, I make short films. And, I want to make sure that, if y'all haven't, want to support me as a creator, want to see more of the stuff that I do outside of fan projects, check out my main channel. Go to the description. I'm sure it's listed there. At the very least, I'm sure it'll be linked on my channel, if you like go to my channel page and scroll. But I do short films, and so I have a lot of filmmaking opinions, as a filmmaker myself. But I don't necessarily need to get into that here. But anyway, it's just like, yeah, sometimes like I'll watch something and I have to figure out like, am I critiquing it, or did it not land for me? And I don't want to say that like, is that my fault, the viewer, or like, there's so many reasons, right, that like a piece of media may not work for you, right? Where's the island here? Is it the reef? I'm just gonna sail to Outset. Sorry guys. But anyways, yeah, like there's just so many reasons that you might play a game or watch a movie and it just doesn't work, and that's not indicative of the thing's quality. It just means that it didn't work for you. and maybe you aren't the target audience, right? There's just so many reasons. And I try to really be aware of that whenever I play a game or watch a movie, right? Or just think about like, like just criticism in general. Like sometimes something doesn't work for me, but that doesn't mean it's bad. And I still may not like it still may not have been like my first pick, but that doesn't mean it's bad. I mean there's stuff in the new Zelda games that I'm like, like do I think that this is a good thing to keep in the series? Maybe not necessarily, but there's stuff that I think is still really well done. And I don't know, like I say this just like I think like every Zelda fan in some way has a controversial take on the new like Switch Zelda games on Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I love Breath of the Wild and I love Tears of the Kingdom. I do have criticisms, and I don't know. I think a lot of people are in that boat. And so like I want to be able to talk through that and parse through those opinions on this channel, as a Zelda fan. And I thank you to everyone who's engaged in that discussion because I enjoy talking about it. But what's the King of Red Lions have to say? Have you noticed, Joe? Morning has not broken since we arrived at Great Fish Isle. The land that was so ravaged by monsters is as if time itself is frozen. Perhaps this is the curse that Lewis spoke of. In fact, it might not be. We can speak. Let's go to the forest. I think it's time for that. The Forest of Fairies, perhaps. Because we could use a fairy. We could use some of Grandma's soup, really. And in order to do that, we need a fairy. And the fairy also should give us the wallet upgrade, if I'm not mistaken. I love this section, too. Just, like, going back to your hometown, like, after you left. And it's not long after you left, but you've done 2.5 dungeons already, right? Like, you went to the Forsaken Fortress and tried to take on Ganon. You went to Dragon Roost and, rescued Medley and, restored Kamali's faith. Like he was disillusioned and you inspired him. You went to the Forbidden Woods and rescued Makar. And I don't know, it's like there's just already so many things that like you've had a whole adventure. You snuck behind, the bomb shop in Windfall Island, overhearing gossip from pirates. Like I don't know, you've already had 2 run-ins with the pirates, right? So it's like you're coming back home, and even though this is still like it feels relatively early in the game, like just the fact that like you're back home, you've changed, and home has changed, right? I'm sure like I don't know, like I feel like a lot of my audience is in my same demographic, relatively. That may not be true. I assume that the people that watch my content are at the very least like of my generation, people that grew up with Wind Waker, right? Um, I assume, but I don't know. Even like I don't know. I don't know what my range is. I assume there's probably younger, you know, viewers too. Maybe even older viewers. Um, there's so many Zelda fans, of course. So who knows? Like maybe there's appeal to all Zelda fans. But I do assume that like a lot of the people that vibe with this project are people that like Wind Waker resonated with them as a kid, and that's part of the interest in this project is just because this was this kind of lifelong passion, and I think that's true for a lot of us. But anyway, that said, what was I gonna say? Yeah, I was gonna say something that's like I'm sure that a lot of y'all have had this experience if y'all like um, left your hometown, especially for college. Excuse me, I did not have my Deku leaf ready. But like if you've come back home like your first winter break after college, right? And you know that feeling of like things are different. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe you're seeing some of your high school friends again, and you can see that they're different. In like small ways, right? You can see that like they've gotten a new friend group. They're like, and this isn't to say that they're like fake or whatever, but like people, people change, and like you come back and it's maybe you can all get your friends together, but you're not the people that you were in high school. Um, and the town that you come back in is not the same town. Um, like it just in small ways. And maybe in the meaningful ways it's the same, right? Maybe your family's there, whatever it is. Um, but I don't know. Like I just bring this up because like I get this feeling at this part of the game, right? And I'm reminded of that. This like you're coming back home and you're changed, and I think maybe for the better. You've become a hero. You've helped people. You responded to that call to adventure. I don't need to get that ruby. What am I doing? My wallet's full. um, but anyway, it's just like I do think that that's just really powerful, right? And to come back to your hometown and to find it full of monsters, right? Like I do think that that's part of this theme of the game, right? Um, and you find Jaboon, and ultimately, like everyone that you care about on Outset is safe, but you find your grandma and she's heartbroken, but you can be there for her again. You can come back home and be there for her, and that's powerful. Um, so I don't know. It's a really like I don't know like that like that's deep, like I don't know, like Wind Waker is a deep game. If you want to hear more discussion, I really recommend Sieve Perspectives. I think that's how you say it. He just did a video. It's been a couple weeks now, maybe a couple months, um, by the time this video comes out, but called like how Nintendo screwed themselves by making one of the greatest games of all time. Essentially, I think the title is something like that, and it's about the Wind Waker and its themes. I did a video responding to that video, so look through. I think I have a like a video specials playlist that's in, um, and so I recommend watching that video because I don't know, like those videos just to if you want more of a discussion on the Wind Waker and its themes. Yeah, get one of those fellas. Yeah, you're caught. What you gotta say now? How about that? You got something to say? Yeah, you guys. I got you. I got you. Let's get another. Screw it. Screw it. All right. Gotcha. Set it to one. Yeah, I know how to use it. I know what fairies do. Come on. Come on. Stop showing the dialogue box. I'm sorry. Um. Anyway, yeah. I mean, we get deep here. And I don't know. I love talking about the Wind Waker and its themes, just because it's obviously like that stuff the developers thought about. Like, I don't think it's an accident that those themes are um a part of the story. Screw it. Let's fight some moblins. I don't have to sneak around them. This is and this is so cool, right? Because in the game, it's not your first time fighting moblins, but it's still like I think you're still fresh off the Forsaken Fortress, and there's that feeling of like oh, I had to sneak around these guys, and now they're just out there. I mean, because there's only a couple instances that you've gotten to fight them. It's not like you haven't gone to Hyrule Castle and faced like 10 of them at once, right? Um, like maybe you've done Shark Island. I don't know if you do Shark Island at this point in the game. What items do you need to activate the switches? I don't know. Do you need the iron boots for that? I can't remember. Um, I can't remember what you need in Shark Island and what the requirements are. Um, I guess we could like sail past it and check later. Come on, man. My timing's been bad. Maybe it's because there's more on me. There we go. Come on. Maybe I just gotta wait for a parry. Maybe that's the move. He's really defensive right now. Usually I can catch these guys and get a good get my time, get a good swing in. Come on, man. Let me hit you. I'm ready. Like let me hit you. Oh, come on. I didn't even get. Okay. Come on. I'm missing my windows. I'm sorry y'all have to see this. There we go. Phew. Woo. Just had to wait for him to really wind up and strike. Oh, man. I don't know why that was so hard. Anyway, let's get our skull necklaces and get out of here. Let's run. Let's book it. Let's go. Let's get out of here. Y'all, I think it's about time to wrap up the video, too. I mean, just, oh, man, the rain, too. It's so atmospheric. I love this game, y'all, and I'm so glad to be able to share it with you. And thank you all so much for watching it and watching these episodes and, and just, giving me the time of day. I really appreciate y'all, being a part of this channel, encouraging me on my project and watching these videos and sharing the Wind Waker with me, this game that I love so much. So without further ado, I think we'll open up this post box in the next video. See you then.